Vangile Makwakwa is here. Molosis. You're right?
Yes.
Yeah, you're jet lag from Cape Town.
Yeah, jet lag. No, please don't do that. I hate it when people call Cape Town Little Europe. No.
The Monaco of Africa.
No, I refuse that. It's African.
All right. Hey, do we have financial trauma? Or our decisions when it comes to money or the way we approach deal with money comes from some trauma in our past?
Listen, we all have financial trauma just for virtue of living, you know. We all have some kind of trauma just from being alive.
Yeah.
And so it bleeds into our finances. Most people tend to hear financial trauma, they think it's related directly to money. It is not the case. I always say to people, it's about almost everything else but the money. So when it comes to...
So it's not bad luck, eh? Yeah? Like, no, doesn't matter, it's tandy, man.
Yeah, but even that is trauma, right? In my life, tandy. I used to think, like, the Vangile Makwakwa.
Hey!
I really believed it.
Some of us, you might be out of business after today because we are going to basically go to the depth of this issue. Not true.
No, but it felt like it. Because, I mean, how would you explain, like, I did my finance honors at UCT, then I did my MBA at the US, and then I was the brokest I ever was right after graduating. And then I had panic attacks where I couldn't hold on to money, touch money, talk about money, nothing.
Yeah.
You know, for about 2 years of my life, I was just depressed, anything to do with money. And this was the time when, you know, you graduate. Now this is your time to shine.
Yeah.
This master's degree.
That's right.
So
You've been to the US, girl. Come on, now doors should be opening for you, especially with an MBA.
Exactly. So I was like, I was really, really sure it was witchcraft, by the way.
That's right. Listen, you're not the only one.
I mean, because you always think when good things are happening and then something bad like that happens, you're like, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. And and it seemed like there was no explanation at all for my panic attacks. Like suddenly you can't even buy bread or milk. You can't touch the money without having a full-on meltdown.
Yeah.
So that definitely feels weird.
But where does that, for you, where did that come from?
Okay, so what I didn't know at the time was that came from way back in my upbringing in the past. So one thing that I want to say is sometimes trauma doesn't come exactly from your childhood or even your teens, this lifetime. It can be something that is passed on from generation to generation.
DNA?
Yes, it is in your DNA.
Bible.
Yes, so there's actually an interest. So I'm going to just jump around so that I can share more in depth about how I came to have my issues, right? Yeah. But there's an interesting study that is done on cherry blossoms and mice, right? Mm-hmm. So researchers in 2013 did a study on mice and cherry blossoms where they introduced mice to cherry blossoms. They took male mice, put them in a little cage, sprayed some cherry blossom scent, and then every time they introduced the scent of cherry blossoms, they would electrocute the mice. So over time, I know it's really sad, right? Every time the mice started to smell the cherry blossoms, they would then associate it with electrocution and shiver and shake. After about a few weeks, they stopped doing this, but it was already ingrained in the mice DNA. Yeah. So then they introduced female mice into the study, and then the mice then procreated, right? And then they had children. Yeah. The children were never ever electrocuted. However, every time they smelled the cherry blossoms, they would shiver and shake. The grandchildren, same thing.
I hear where you're going with this. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So my panic attacks seemingly came out of the blue. But when I was young, I grew up with my uncle, and my uncle earned really good money. And every time he got paid on payday as an electrical engineer in the 90s, you know, he was really,
he was the man.
He was, hey? And every time he got paid, we would have like what I call like massive parties. Like one of my favorite books is The Great Gatsby.
Oh,
so I always talk about the fact that it was like I was living in The Great Gatsby. Like on payday for 7 days after my uncle got paid, there were all sorts of people at the house, celebrities, politicians, you name it. And we were just having braais, everything. But when the money ran out, it would feel like you're walking on eggshells because everything's just like
even his personality changed, right?
Even his personality changed. He became more irritable. So as a child, you're always hyper vigilant about money running
and the time
out.
Of the month at which you need to interact with this person.
But also his personality changed when payday came. He was happier than usual, on top of the world. You can get everything, but it's like the nervous system is so dysregulated. Everyone would say, your uncle is so excited about money. And it's only when I started doing the work that I did that I learned that excitement and anxiety have the same physiological response, right?
Sure.
So they feel the same in the body. And most people sense that and they feel like, oh my gosh, excitement, your uncle is excited. My uncle was anxious about money. What do you do when you're anxious, when someone makes you anxious, when you feel unsafe with someone? You run for the hills, you don't want them around. So my uncle in essence was getting rid of money as fast as he made it, right?
And he was not aware of this.
He wasn't. But here's where it gets interesting. Remember the DNA stuff that we spoke about with the mice? You also get something called co-regulation at a nervous system level, which means basically quite simple. Don't get lost, guys, in the high terms. It just means that we sense each other's nervous systems.
That's
so
right.
Mother Nature, in her wisdom, is like, as a little child, you don't have the language to talk about certain things, right? And a child, if you think about it, we already know in most cultures, we say, oh, don't be scared to a mom because your child will sense that fear.
That's right.
Oh my God, if you get angry, the child can sense the fear,
That's right.
Even though it happens
even during pregnancy.
Exactly. Yeah. So that doesn't go away, by the way. So as children, your children are sensing not just your words, they're not just listening to your words, they're not just observing your behavior. They are actually, the most important thing is they are sensing what is happening at a nervous system level, because that is what is important for survival. So whenever my uncle had money, what I was sensing was that deep anxiety, right? And I sensed that my whole life. So think about how many paydays happen throughout your entire existence.
That's right.
So as a child, you don't have the capacity to regulate your nervous system. You're relying on your caregivers.
That's right.
So when I started making money and earning money, guess what? I tapped into my nervous system, learned that when you have money, you get anxious, until it became so overwhelming that it just turned into pure panic for me.
So wait, let me bring an example closer. Some people, when they feel anxious, for whatever reason, retail therapy is their cure.
Yes.
Is that an example of that?
Of course. I mean, one of the things that I say to people is think of money as a lover. What we've done is we've made money this highbrow thing. But money is in essence something that you also fall, like that you're in a relationship with.
Yes.
So just like we can be in a relationship with food, we're in a relationship with money. So think of money as a lover. So when you are anxious over a lover, what do? Do you want them around? If you don't feel safe with a lover, do you not run and hide?
You love them, but you don't like them at that moment.
Exactly. So what do? You find ways to run away, to get rid of them, all of that. Now, money is not a human being that you can actually run away from. It's an inanimate object. So what do? One of the things that you do is you have to get it out of your space because it feels unsafe. What it does is it's triggering your flight, fight, fawn responses, all your different trauma responses.
Then you splurge it,
so that you don't have it, and then you can come back to safety. And here's an interesting thing about that people need to understand about safety. Safety to the nervous system, to your entire body, is about survival.
That's right.
It has nothing to do with, like, on a logical level, we will say, Well, don't you feel safe if you have a lot of money, though, and you are in a nice house? No. The nervous system and your entire subconscious mind is wired to look at what has brought you and your entire bloodline to this point, and it deems that as safety. So if extreme poverty, chaos, not having enough money is how you guys have survived up until this point, then that is what is deemed as safety at a nervous system level. So you will always recreate your childhood, and this is why you can have families that it doesn't matter how educated people get within the family, you find them recreating the same cycles. Or you find someone really excelling, going all over the world, becoming a doctor, getting their PhD, everything, and yet they come back home and they develop a lot of different self-sabotaging behaviors, or they become addicts, all of that. There's a lot that is going on at a nervous system level, and I hope this also explains to people about our show, I Blew It, as to what is happening on I Blew It.
If you just tuned in, I'm hanging out with Vangile Makwakwa, a financial mentor, entrepreneur, and she wrote the book, What is Your Financial Type? You have a type, by the way, and we'll get to that in a short while. Therefore, and I'm fast forwarding here, was then your remedy to your background, right? Call it your sensory response to money. Was that because you were I'll even say throwing it away to get rid of it? Was frugality your solution?
No. Here's the thing. You can't become, how do I explain this in a way that makes sense? Most of us preach frugality, but how do you get to frugality when you're in a state of intense fight or flight? So if I come to you, right, and remember you're feeling unsafe, go back to the lover example.
Yes.
And I say to you, wow, this person is making you feel unsafe. You're in a relationship with them, but somehow try to find balance. Like try to be balanced.
Which is a very good advice.
Right?
You know what I mean?
Try to find balance, try to chill out with them, but they feel completely unsafe with them. Oh, they feel completely unsafe to you. How well are you going to take my words? Like, are you going to be able to sit down with this person and be like, come, let's have tea, let's work through our issues? Or are you going to be like on edge the whole time? So it wasn't the solution. The real solution was to work on my nervous system, to get to a point where I could feel safe with money and actually be able to look at money. So my first thing, remember, I couldn't even talk about money.
Okay.
So you couldn't even ask me, how much do you charge? How much do you want to get paid? I would go to job interviews and there would be a question, how much do you want to get paid? And I would just freeze up. That was the end. Because I can't talk about money. And our society is not like, that just makes you look unprofessional. You haven't thought things through. So I don't know what was going on. So my first thing was to work on getting to safety. And I kid you not, I work with people to pay off debt. And like most of my clients say to me, well, you don't actually do budgets with us. And I'm like, that's because if we're doing budgets, we're working with self-discipline and we're working with willpower. And believe it or not, any behavioral economist will tell you that willpower is a limited resource. This is why even when people go on diets and they use willpower, at which point, I'm talking to a lot of women here that have gone on diets, right?
I don't like your tone, but it's fine. Continue.
When you think about it, you eat lettuce, you eat cucumbers, and then after 3 weeks, someone is going to put a chocolate cake in front of you. And what happens?
Your child's birthday.
You're like, chocolate cake. The diet goes out the window. It's not because you lack willpower. You've actually exhausted your willpower. Willpower is a very limited resource.
Then what's the solution?
So over time, it exhausts itself. So the solution is actually quite simple, is you do, just like instead of a diet, you do a lifestyle change. So with money, it's the same thing. Most people are being forced to follow an unrealistic budget, something that they would not be able to stick to, just like they would just with a diet, the calorie deficit diet, all of that. So what you want to do is do a lifestyle change like you would with food. And with that, you want to get to a point where you feel safe with money. So look at your bank account every day, observe your breath, start to change your reaction to money, retrain your amygdala. So if you look at your bank account for 5 minutes a day, observe your breath for 5 minutes a day, and then observe the sensations in your body for 5 minutes a day, and then write the thoughts that come up and question those thoughts, that's about a 20-minute exercise. That will get you further financially than any budget.
No way, Vangi.
No, I promise. I had to figure it out myself. Remember, I come from a finance background, so I can say this with great authority that my background is in finance. So I knew about budgeting. It's like I have an MBA and I did my honors at UCT in finance, right?
Yes.
So there's nothing that I didn't know about budgeting. Budgeting is quite a simple concept.
That's right.
Income less expenses. Spend less than you make.
Yeah.
Why can't we
live under your means?
Why is it so much of this human population cannot do that? It's because of what is happening at a nervous system level. It's how we are reacting to money. It's back to the eating healthy habit, right? We know if we eat lettuce, cucumbers, veggies, etc., it's healthier for us than if we eat pizzas and all that. And yet, why don't we do it? A lot of that is how we relate to money, or how we relate to food, or how we perceive ourselves. And a lot of that comes from trauma.
I'm traumatized right now. Are we bad with money as a people? And when I say as a people, I'm talking about the black middle class, the black people. Because there's this, and sometimes I say, where the mind goes, the behind follows. Yeah. Because you think you don't deserve it. One, two, or you think others are better with it. Because you look at other cultures and communities and think, well, they are so good, they are more richer than us, and so on. Maybe, Tina Gay, it was not meant for us. Are we bad with money?
No, we're not bad with money. So, two things, right? In my book, I talk about the fact that trauma doesn't exist outside of the macroeconomic aspect.
Yes.
Right? And outside of a political space. So, the thing is like I dedicate an entire 2 chapters, I believe, in the book just talking about inequality, gender inequality, talking about racial inequality. When you live in a world that shows you images of people that look like you in a particular manner.
That's right.
Always in poverty, always struggling, always embroiled in corruption, and they don't give you the good news of people that look like you when it comes to money. You start to imagine that maybe money is not for you, especially when a particular racial group or a particular gender is always shown as the ones that have money and as the ones that are always succeeding and excelling. So it starts to mess with your mind. So you're not bad with money. Just be aware of those images. But also, secondly, now, so that's the macro factor. Then there's a micro factor.
That's right.
When you keep trying to do a thing and you keep failing at the thing, it gives you this, it's inevitable that you will end up forming a belief that I am bad with money, or money is not for me. Other people are good with money. Our family, my people and I, we don't have money. Money is not our thing. You're not bad with money. You just weren't given the right tools. We are all, so if you read the book, I talk about the 5 shadow archetypes and the 5 golden archetypes.
And we'll go into that, just a glimpse of it, yes.
Yes, but the fixer archetype is the one that really rules the world, unfortunately. And fixers tend to be extremely logical. So we are all under this influence of 1% of the population. And yes, the fixer archetypes, according to one particular bank in South Africa, after they read the book, they said to me, they think there's only 0.7% of the population is fixers, right? 0.7%, yeah. So
0.7%?
Yeah, most people read the book and they think that they fixers. You're actually a sweet one, not a fixer, but that's another thing, right?
Wow.
But only 0.7%. I'm not even a fixer either, right?
So wait, let's unpack it. So give me the 5.
Okay.
What's your money personality is the book, Changing the Way Black Families Manage Their Finances, Vangile Makwakwa. You must get the book.
So the sweet one archetype.
Which person is this one?
Okay,
Quickly.
So the sweet one archetype is the archetype that struggles to set financial boundaries. They are often in debt for family, or if they're not in debt, they are doing everything to do with family. They are giving up their lives for families. Even their career trajectory is dependent on the family. The sweet one sacrifices a lot, but it's also part of their identity. They learned to keep the family together by people pleasing, by going into fawn mode. Okay. Then you've got the destroyer archetype. They learn to deal with trauma by going into fight mode. So let me give examples. The sweet one archetype may not always have lots of money, right? But when there's a funeral, they are the first ones there. They bring Izan glad. Like a lot of family functions cannot happen without them, actually. They are the glue of the family. The destroyer archetype is born into a family, and they are the fighter archetype. So, they go into fight mode whenever they have trauma, right? Whenever they're challenged with anything, they go straight into fight mode. You know, those are the aunts or uncles. You go to a funeral, you go to a wedding, they are bringing out Bakipama files in everybody's business. They are making sure that people know where they stand.
Okay.
They tend to be in debt, not because of family, but because they are the black sheep of the family, and they tend to have to do everything themselves. Deeply misunderstood, but also deeply toxic. The ability to be toxic. Misunderstood because they are born into a family to basically unearth the trauma of a family, to be the mirror of all the toxicity, unfortunately.
All right.
So
3.
Yeah, so the third one is, let's say, the runaway archetype. They learn to deal mainly with trauma by going into flight mode. So they literally run away from challenges. So whenever there were incidents in the family, they would disappear and dissociate and run away. So most of the time, the runaway archetype will run away to alcohol, to drugs, to parties. They never ever show up for family engagements. They will come once in a blue moon, and when they come, it's for an hour, they leave. They will never ever sleep at home for family functions. They are just never around. You know, they try to avoid it. They tend to be, they struggle financially and are in debt, but they're often helped by the sweet one in the family. The fixer, not so much. The fixer helps the sweet one. We'll talk about that. But they tend to jump from job to job. They have a hard time settling on one career. A lot of that is because they are so challenged by life, and they haven't learned how to stay and deal with challenges. So they struggle to make a lot of money.
Number 4?
The fixer archetype. So this is the interesting archetype. They learn to deal with trauma by going into control, by taking over everything. So I talk about it as force. So they were born into a family, and they looked and they were like, oh my gosh, all these adults are chaotic and they are just not that smart. And you laugh, but fixers from a young age take over the family. They take over the financials of the family. They are the ones that are putting together the trust funds, everything. And fixers are so unique in that they are born into a family. If you have a fixer in the family, you can take a family from literal poverty, the ghetto, to the upper class, like the 1% in a single generation within a few decades. But to do that, you need to understand that a fixer archetype has intense control issues, because you need everybody to fall in line.
That's right.
Most of the time, people will be like, but I am a fixer. I did so well for the family. Why does the family not stand me? Because of that. So you actually, in trying to solve the financial issues, you actually can cause trauma.
Number 5?
The last one is the eternal child. They got stuck in the trauma. So they are in freeze mode. They never grew up. So you've got a 50-year-old, 60-year-old, 40-year-old still living at home. Even if they have a job, everybody's taking care of them. They're paying their rent. They're paying their mortgage. They're just a child. It's like, literally, I always say to people, when you're dealing with an eternal child, it's like you are dealing with an adult who is a child. It doesn't matter what happens, you will take care of all the bills financially. Eternal children it's very, very challenging for them to ever master their finances. So they barely even can afford to get into mortgages or get car loans or any of those things. They may get that when they get super educated, but over time their credit record just becomes a hot mess, and usually somebody else is looking after them and just propping them up.
Can there be a blend?
Yes, they can be. So you can be a mix of two archetypes.
Yeah.
But for an eternal child, it would be very challenging to be an eternal child and a fixer archetype. They two extremes.
Two extreme
right?
opposites, yeah.
So, but you could be like an eternal child / sweet one. The fixer is just a very unique archetype.
Yeah.
You know? So.
Is there one that we should aim for?
No.
Oh.
There is no.
Damn, I thought I was getting better. No.
Because every archetype, so in the book there are 10 archetypes.
Yes.
I've listed the 5 shadow archetypes.
Yes.
Every archetype has its own golden archetype. So as you start to heal, you make money in different ways, you save money in different ways, you spend in different ways. So each archetype is very unique. So you tend to be born in the family for many reasons, also ancestrally, that's how you respond to trauma, just like almost like your personality. Sometimes you become the person. It's the nurture versus nature argument, right? But most times it's that this is how you learn to respond to trauma. So there's also the flip side. And every archetype has its golden archetype side, which is incredible. So, for example, the destroyer can become a renovator. And in its renovator state, you get a destroyer, the renovators completely tear society apart and reinvent it and make lots and lots of money as well. Just like the runaway archetype, when they become the grounded seeker, has the capacity to teach us so much about going into our bodies, health, etc. And they then also make lots and lots of money, save, invest, etc. The only archetype that I can say can make money and build great generational wealth in its shadow archetype is the fixer archetype. But we also don't want to aim for the fixer archetype. They've got their own dramas. I just mentioned.
Control.
Like most fixers are, if you talk to any fixer, and I talk to a lot of fixers, they are extremely upset, feeling extremely underappreciated, feeling unseen in their families, feeling like people don't appreciate what they've done, what they've built. They are in arguments. So your archetype and where you are is perfect. You've got your own issues. Just work on healing your archetype, and that's what is going to shift everything.
She's basically listening right now and thinking, oh, Vangi, I need more. I slow down. I need to understand what's going on. Well, my first advice is get the book. We still have a culture of... Okay, let me rephrase. Is it wrong to show off when you have money?
I mean, it's up to you. I don't believe
why do we look upon why do we look down upon it when you are fleshy? And I'm talking about us as a black people.
I think we look down upon it because we have a long history within our communities of people being fleshy and losing that money and running out of money. Right? So I think it's also our trauma that then comes into play, is that do we have enough money to last us for generations? When we talk about generational wealth, we are talking about something that can outlive us for, say, 300 years. So in Japan, for example, they have 300-year plans with families and family offices to say, how do you structure wealth in such a way that it lasts for 300 years? So I think with us, when we see that, we freak out because have we done that? So there's that fear that money will
I'm
run
already
out.
panicking. I don't think I have a 30-year plan.
And here's a very interesting thing, right? Trauma is so fascinating. I love the work that I do. Did you know that the more money you make, actually it also triggers at the same time this fear that you will lose it?
Exactly.
So actually, the more money, as we make more money and become more wealthy as humans, we also get this fear, this deep trigger that we'll run out of money. It's a very, very fascinating thing. So I think most times it makes us uncomfortable. And maybe even if you do have the money, you look down on people that are flashing because, well, the fear. But also, I think there's a deeper understanding within us as people, the trauma that is triggered.
Is Ubuntu holding us back?
No.
Because by Ubuntu, I mean you lift as you rise, right?
Yeah.
You take care of your own. You're being neighborly. And when you have, like your uncle, you take care of your family, right? We are a collective society than an individualistic one.
Yeah.
Is that a...
No, I don't think that's a bad thing at all. In fact, I think that's a very important aspect of being human and a very important aspect of us. So when we talk about Ubuntu and when we talk about black tax, the way that it's being done, it's a very, very different thing that we're talking about. So let's talk about what black tax is and where it started originally, and then we can actually understand just the wisdom behind it. So the wisdom before black tax was black tax, the wisdom was we take the smartest or the eldest amongst us.
That's right.
You educate that child,
yes.
They will come back and educate the next their second sibling. Then you'll have two people working and educated. They send money home. Now the parents have money to build a home, and then the next siblings will have money to go to university and make something of themselves. And then together they'll be able to work together. So the idea was that, wow, if you have 5 children, then you'll have 5 children that are giving money into the household, and then they can help the next generation. We obviously didn't factor in the human factor and trauma and our history of colonization, apartheid, how it impacts
and how we mix as cultures.
Exactly.
Because when I get 1,000 rands versus my white counterpart, we don't going to apply that 1,000 rands the same way.
Exactly. But the concept and the idea and the philosophy behind Ubuntu, you can see it. It makes sense. It's beautiful. It's amazing.
And it resonates.
Yeah. And I think most people around the world, when they hear it, it resonates at a deep level.
Yeah.
So there's nothing wrong with that. The problem comes with the fact that we are in families where, let's say I'm the fixer. I then get educated. I then send money home. The sweet one gets educated. Then there's only the two of us. The rest of the other archetypes, especially the runaway and the eternal child, forget it. You will be supporting them forever. They are not on that same wavelength and with that same philosophy. And we don't understand why they are reacting that way, right? And there are no family meetings. And so suddenly, instead of having all your siblings working together, the entire family working together to better the family, you now only have 1 or 2 people doing that work and supporting 14 other people. That one person is the one that's always expected to shell out money for the family funeral, for the weddings, for events. So people get tired, right? So people get fatigued, people get exhausted, people get angry, and then it causes this big fracture within the family. So the concept of Ubuntu itself is not an issue, but Ubuntu also has to come with an understanding of human nature, an understanding of trauma, an understanding of what apartheid and colonization has done to us as a people, and has impacted and how it has impacted the way that we approach life now, and also an understanding of globalization and how salaries have become stagnant and people can't be expected to have can't be expected to take care of the family in the same way, right? So there's so much nuance that has to be brought into this conversation now. So I would say it has to come with boundaries and many family conversations and meetings around money. And because of our trauma, we don't talk about money within our families. And when we do talk about it, it becomes you did this, I'm doing this, and There's so much blame, so much fighting, so much trauma, so we re-traumatize each other, which is why the true work is about regulating ourselves first, understanding our role within our families, which I talk about in the book, so that you can better understand how do you approach certain people within the family, right, and have conversations in the family.
There's not enough time in the day for us to go if we have this conversation, I can tell you now.
I agree.
One thing I'm going to take away from what you just said in this hour, by the way, get the book, What's Your Money Personality? It's available, Vangile Makwakwa. It's a very interesting book. You must read it. One thing I must take away from this is listen, one, to you, yourself. Mm-hmm. Understand why you behave the way you do behave around money. Start there.
Yes.
Before anything else, just start there.
Yes.
2, treat it like a lover.
Yes.
The emotions it gives you. If this was a person, what will be the solution at that moment, right? That has triggered it. Are you going to fight? Are you going to flight?
Yes.
And if you flight, how are you flighting? Are you flighting to keep? Are you flighting to destroy?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
In essence, that's what I'm taking from it, because that's self-regulation for me goes there. What is it that I can take from Vangile today, right now, that I can use immediately? It's exactly that.
Yes.
Personalize it.
Yes.
It won't answer back, yes, but personalize it, because like they said, money is an emotion, right?
Yes.
So if you put it there as a lover, I love that example, because it's something that we can all relate to, right?
Yes.
At least that's something we can take away. But beyond this, Vangi, how can one then have a one-on-one with you? How can one engage with you more further? Because I know you're a coach there.
Yes.
How do we do that?
You can contact me at wealthy-money.com. Just go on the contact button and you can fill in a form. You can find me on Instagram under Vangile Makwakwa, and I'm on TikTok under Wealthy Money Co. LinkedIn, Vangile Makwakwa, and on Facebook as well. So look me up. But yeah, my website, I have a blog at wealthy-money.com. I have over 300 articles. I do lots and lots of research on this body of work. I've shared, I've written, so feel free to go check it out. And of course, please get the book. It's at Exclusive Books. It's at Take-A-Lot. It's at Amazon. You can get the ebook on Kindle, Google eBooks, all of that. You can get it at Bargain Books. You can get it at Wordsworth. And it's called What's Your Money Personality? Changing the Way Black Families Manage Their Finances. And thank you so much, Thibaut. This was such an amazing conversation.
It's not enough, though.